Welcome again to the Body, Mind, Spirit Show. I'm your host, Dr. Betsy Greenleaf. And because it's February, I thought this would be a great time to talk love, relationships. And on today's show, I'm so excited. We have sexpert to the millions, Susan Bratton, with us today. Thank you, Susan, for being with us.
Hi, Dr. Betsy. It was so much fun to get dressed up in my marriage magician costume for you. Thank you for being a yes to letting me wear my silly little top hat and my silly little bow tie on your show to talk about one of the most important things in our lifetime, which is the quality of our relationship. So I'm really excited to talk about why the golden rule may be ruining your relationship or mucking up your marriage.
I think this is great. And you know what? I like the fact that you make this fun too, because sometimes this can be a little touchy subject with people. You know, people don't like to really discuss sex very much, but this is something that we need to be discussing. And the more we discuss it and make the conversation like normal, then it's easier for us to discuss with our partners and be able to grow together. So what is the golden rule and why is it mucking up our relationships?
Yeah, one of the things that I found is that couples that play together stay together, especially in the bedroom. When a couple has a good, easy, private, closed door experience, they often have a very strong marriage relationship. But what the problem mostly happens is that couples don't tell each other the truth about what they really need. And that goes for outside the bedroom too. To be able to have a good, intimate connection, you need to have an understanding of what your partner needs and what you need to be happy in the rest of your relationship. Because if that's not a solid ground, then you have nothing to build the intimate connection on. So on today's episode, what I wanted to do was talk about this idea of relationship values. And I'm actually going to walk your viewers through how you can figure it out for yourself, because this is a real game changer in relationships. And it really starts with this notion of the golden rule. Now, Dr. Betsy, have you heard of the golden rule? Is it something that's familiar to you? Because most people have heard of it.
You know, I heard the terminology, but I don't think I really know what it means.
Okay. Well, some people don't. I'd say, 2 in 10 people really don't know what it means. Most people have kind of heard of it, and a few people know what it is. And it's the saying, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. Yes. Basically, treat people the way you want to be treated, which is how people with good moral values do approach their life. The problem is it doesn't work in relationships. It's actually not what you want to do. You want to not use the golden rule and treat your partner the way you want to be treated. You want to go one level up, which is the platinum rule, which is treat your partner the way they want to be treated and have them treat you the way you want to be treated. Because although as couples, we're usually reasonably similar, which is why we're drawn together, we, as especially the male and female, need different things, and we approach life through an entirely different lens. The perfect example is that for many women, one of their top relationship values is security. Yes. Feeling safe. Where for men, that would never occur to them because they naturally feel safe in the world. So the idea of the platinum rule is that you want to uncover what it is that you want most out of a relationship and then communicate that to your partner. I always say it's like giving your husband or your boyfriend a cheat sheet to your happiness. And when a guy hears that he's going to get a cheat sheet, he loves it. Because really for men, they don't want all the story and the conversation. They just want the directions. Tell me what to do and I'll do it because I want to be your number one guy. I want to be the winner. I want to be your knight in shining armor. I want to make you ridiculously happy. But often, because people just aren't aware of this platinum rule, he's treating you like he wants to be treated, which explains some strange behavior once you figure out what your relationship values are. So there's a method to kind of figuring out what your values are.
You know what? That makes sense too. And we think about women in general tend to be martyrs. They tend to put everybody else before themselves. So, I mean, this is not everybody, but there's a good number of people I know I've done it. We're like, honey, well, whatever you want, like, hey, what do you want for dinner? I don't know. Whatever you want, that doesn't really work out in that we also have to know what we want so we can communicate that. So,
well,
yeah.
and it's interesting because I always know what I want for dinner, but it's interesting. And I don't have any problem at all saying what I want because I know my husband wants to know, because one of his top 4 relationship values is honesty. Mm-hmm. And for him, what makes him feel comfortable and confident is to be completely in the know about everything. He wants all the available information and data. And honesty is one of the things that he can't live without. And as you're figuring out what your relationship values are, and you really only need to figure out your top 4, because once your partner's fulfilling the 4 most important things you want to get out of your relationship with them, then you're basically hitting the 80-20. All the other stuff is just kind of nice to haves, not have to haves. And that's the thing about relationship values. It's really the things that when it comes down to brass tacks, you'd rather not be in a relationship unless you can have these 4 things. That's what's so interesting about them. So though you think you might know what they are, the exercise to go through the process of figuring out what your top values are and your partner's is really one of deep and honest introspection. And it can be a game changer for relationships. Number one, it just makes life easy because you start getting your needs met. Your partner is incredibly surprised at what your top 4 values are. They had no idea. And it's because you really have never gone through this process of what's called values elicitation to rank order what it is that's most important. So I'm going to teach you kind of how it works with some examples, but there's a couple things I want to talk about. And one is, what are values? I think that's very important because this is not the 5 languages of love or, I like gifts and affection, or whatever. As far as the 5 love languages, I like all 5. Like, I don't know why we have to have a dominant love. Just give me all 5. I want all 5 of those. But relationship values, they go into a little bit of a deeper part of your upbringing, your belief system. There are things that are personal values for you that are very sacrosanct, that are very much a part of your identity and your way you want to move through the world. And everybody's values are different and they're all good, but it is surprising the range of things that people value most in being in relationship with another.
Yeah. So how do you sit down and start figuring out? I guess you got to figure out your own values first before you can communicate them. But is there a kind of trick to how to start organizing those thoughts in your head?
Yes, there's a method. And I'm going to tell you everything right now. But I want to let you know that there is a downloadable PDF of Relationship Magic. And Betsy, I have sold over 25,000 copies, close to 30,000 copies of Relationship Magic. People love this. Singles love it because they want to know what they're looking for. And partners love it because they can finally get on their partner's page and give them what they want instead of treating them the way they want to be treated. And though you can go on Amazon and buy this for $27, you can go to myrelationshipmagic.com and get the downloadable PDF for $9.95. That's the special you got to meet the marriage magician URL so that you can download it and you can do it with yourself or with your partner and figure out your values. And on page, I think it's a very short book and it's a workbook. It's a downloadable workbook. On page 27, there are a list of typical values. And I'm just going to give you an idea of the range of values. And what I want to say about it is that there are many words that can mean similar things, but there's sometimes a perfect word for you, for what you value the most. So let me just give you a really quick quick rundown of some of the values. And it's nice to have these to start with, but this is not all of them. This is, whatever there are, 87 of them or something, but there's I think it's 22 categories, but it could be things like growth, family focus, contribution, communication, passion, resourcefulness, presence, acceptance, adventure, thoughtfulness, faith. Faith is a very big one for many people. So these are just some examples, but if you looked under faith, you might take, for example, grace, compassion, honor, heroism, consciousness, devotion, intuitiveness, perceptiveness. For any particular person, one of those words might be the one that really communicates what it is they're trying to get from a relationship with you. So there's a very simple process where you pick 10 words that feel like they might be the things that are the most important to you. And you get to refine this because it's actually a process that you do multiple times, because every time you go through rank ordering your list of 10, what you're doing is you're basically listing out these 10 concept placeholders. And then you're saying, okay, what's my number one? What's my number two? What's my number three? What's my number four? Until you really look at that. And here's how you decide. Here's how you determine what it is you really in your heart of hearts want. And that is, you say to yourself, would I be in a relationship if I couldn't have this? Now, let me give you some examples. Robert and Lauren are friends of mine, and I've always really liked their relationship values. Lauren grew up in the 70s, and her mother said, never trust a man. She'd been married and divorced. She had 2 failed marriages. She was very bitter about it. It was women's lib era, and Lauren's mother taught her not to trust a guy and to always have her own money, her own bank account somewhere. But it turns out that Lauren's number one relationship value is security. She wanted to be taken care of, and she wasn't good with math and numbers. She was good at sales and marketing on the talking side of things, but not good at math and numbers. And she was married to Robert for over a decade. This is at a time when their relationship they almost decided to get divorced, and she didn't want to ruin her daughter's family, and she didn't want to be a divorced woman. She wanted to stay with her husband, but she didn't feel like either of them were getting out of their marriage what they wanted. And when she got really honest with herself, she realized that she wanted Robert to just manage the money and always make sure they had health care, the tires were good on the car, they had a burglar alarm, he got the door for her, he kept her safe and okay. And it took her a lot to put that as her number one value, because her mother had really instilled in her, never trust anyone to take care of you. And so she had to really get honest with herself to say, the thing that is actually most important to me is that you care for and protect me. Now, Robert's number one was passion. And one of the reasons why Robert and Lauren were having marital issues is that she felt like Robert was always like groping her. And she really felt like he was just constantly after her. And what she didn't understand was that Robert was incredibly physically affectionate, and that what he wasn't doing when he was grabbing her was trying to get something from her. What he was actually doing was trying to be close and connected and touch and hold and be held. And because Lauren did not come from a strong attachment bonded family, it was difficult for her to know how much being held really was a beautiful thing. And when she stopped resisting it and she started kissing him and sitting on his lap and making sure she hugged him every day and snuggled him in bed, it transformed their relationship. And that was just meeting each other's needs and their top relationship values. We can go on for more if you want to go into a couple more examples of it, because I think it's helpful, but let you take it from here.
Yeah, well, let's take a commercial break and then we will be back with Susan Bratton to find out more about relationships.
Mr. Happy Living here. I love good things made by good people. That's why I love Zona Plus, the world's first software-controlled handheld device that improves cardiovascular health using isometric exercise. You're going to love yours too. I use mine almost every day to keep my blood pressure right where it should be. It also helps maintain healthy blood and oxygen flow and bone density. And it increases the production of nitric oxide, which also increases blood flow and lowers blood pressure. All good stuff. But what really surprised me is this little device has been adding muscle to my biceps too. I walk around all day long feeling pumped. Check them out at happyliving.com and select Partners in Happy for $50 off. Plus, for every order placed in the month of January, I'll donate $50 to WITV7 and another $50 to Life Vest Inside.
All right, we're back and we're talking with Susan Bratton, sexpert to millions and relationship master. And in fact, actually, she is the marriage magician today. So yeah, this is fascinating. And I love the idea of telling stories because it takes this idea and it makes it more applicable to us so that we can really understand how this applies to our lives.
Yeah. Well, let's keep going with Robert and Lauren, because I think their story is one that many people can relate to. Lauren's number 2 relationship value was at direct opposition to her number 1 relationship value, which for many, many men would have been a difficulty, but not for Robert. So Lauren's number 1 relationship value is this notion of security. She wants to be in a very secure and safe relationship, being protected by her man. That's very traditional. But her number 2 relationship value is freedom. Robert is an introvert and Lauren is an extrovert. And Lauren gets a lot of opportunities to go out in the world and do things that Robert doesn't always want to do. And what she wants to be able to do is go do anything that she wants to do and be free to do things and live her life and not necessarily have to live the same life that her partner does. Of course, they're very intimately connected, but she needs that freedom. And for some reason, once Robert understood that, she wants me to totally take care of her and let her go do anything she wants, I can do that. That's actually really easy because I don't always want to go to stuff, or I'll go and take her there and let her do her thing and bring her home. And that satisfies him because he'll talk to one person all night and she'll go talk to everyone in the room. And then they're both happy. And so that notion of security and freedom is very, very common for younger women, where they want to be cared for, but they want to have their freedom. When you are under 40, you are often going to identify with that constraint of the security freedom piece of things. Now, for Robert, his number 2 was very similar to Lauren's number 3. And this is where couples often find that they'll share a value. For Robert, the idea was fun and adventure. What he loved about Lauren was she was always offers were coming into her to do these amazing things by these amazing people and go to these amazing places. And he just went along for the ride and had the most incredible life. He just waited for her to decide what looked the most fun. And then he participated in it with her. He didn't like to make plans. He liked her to. And that fun and adventure was almost guaranteed with Lauren. And one of the reasons he married her. And one of the things that Lauren, her number 3 was variety. She got bored fast. She never wanted to do the same thing twice. She would never watch an old movie she'd seen in the past. She was full speed ahead, out to the future. What's the latest thing? I'm an early adopter. Show me fun things. And so because of that, it naturally worked out well that Robert was willing to go along with the fun. He wanted fun and adventure, and that fueled her variety need. So that was really a cool thing. Now, Robert's next relationship value, I told you already, which was honesty. He needed to know he was he needed to know he knew everything that was important for him and helped him provide security and safety. But his fourth relationship value was growth. And one of the things that he loved about Lauren, and another reason he married her, was that she was the woman behind the man. She saw how smart and capable he was, and she believed in Robert so much. And she always said to him, babe, you're here, but I see you here. This is where I see you going next. She had a vision, a big vision for him that he really appreciated because he loved to step up and step into new things. Growth fueled him, and he loved seeing who he was as a man in the eyes of Lauren. And I'm trying to remember what Lauren's fourth one was. It's always fun to know what the four are. So she liked, it turns out that she changed hers after a couple of months. Her fourth ended up being, and this is the thing about relationship values, you can change them, although your values are pretty set in who you are. As you age and you go through your life cycles of your life, things can change. Or as you learn and discover the value of things that are more meaningful to you, your values may change. And Lauren realized that passion, intimacy, connection, once she spent time being held in a soulmate embrace by Robert, and she learned the benefit of touch and cuddling and kissing and warmth and generating oxytocin, she realized she'd never want to be in a relationship without it again. Their relationship absolutely blossomed because they finally got honest about what they both wanted. All she had to do to meet his values every day was get up and snuggle him and kiss him and love him and touch him and tell him the truth and be herself. And he was in heaven. No more did he feel like leaving her because she was avoiding his touch. It totally transformed their relationship. She finally let him take care of her the way she wanted to be taken care of, and everything shifted for that couple. And that, I think, is a beautiful story of learning what your relationship values are and playing by that platinum rule.
And when you say it, it's so simple, but I can't tell you time and time again, as a gynecologist, patients come to me and they're just not happy in the bedroom, but you really need to spend the time and work on the relationship, because that's where the problem is. It's not the bedroom. So yeah. And, what kind of other things would you recommend for couples to kind of keep that going?
Well, I think especially in the time we're living in right now that is creating so much anxiety and stress, one of the ways that couples can reconnect with each other, can ground their energy, and can calm each other, what's called co-regulation, is when couples hold and are held. And I have another book that I wrote. This is probably my most popular book, Sexual Soulmates, The 6 Essentials for Connected Sex. One of the techniques that I teach in there is the soulmate embrace. And you can actually download this technique that I'm about to lightly share with you so that you can do it yourself at home. The soulmate, it's at soulmateembrace.com. Very simple, soulmate embrace. What happens often with couples is that couples are very goal-oriented with their intimacy, and they think that they should have lovemaking, but they're already kind of at the end before they've even started, and they don't give each other enough time to really slow down and connect and nurture and co-regulate each other and reset each other's nervous systems. And how holding and being held establishes polarity, which means there's more of a masculine feminine magnetism when you're being held by your man, when you're holding your woman. That often gets moved to the wayside when we're working together as parallel people in our relationship. We lose a little bit of that magnetism. And what the soulmate embrace does is it actually teaches the masculine how to hold and the feminine how to receive and allow the holding. Because often women because we're estrogen dominant, we're kind of stressed out. We're looking around at a million things. We can't get out of our minds and settle into our bodies. And for men, they're often goal oriented. And so they rush us. And arousal begins in relaxation. And a woman needs to be relaxed before she can think about intimate connection, where he's already way past us. He needs to slow down and come back and take us with him. And the soulmate embrace is, I think, the thing that it cures more than anything else. And it's a simple step-by-step. There's actually one page in the downloadable PDF you can print out and give to your partner. And it's step-by-step, which guys like. And then there's the stories, which the ladies like in there. And what it does is it teaches him, as she relaxes in his arms, in the past, that was his signal to let go. But with the soulmate embrace, he pulls her closer till she relaxes again. And he just keeps holding her until she finally is able to let down and let go and surrender and relax and connect her heart to his heart, her gaze to his gaze, your breath to his breath, your feeling and connection, limbic body connection, and your spirit. So you're getting your mind, your body, and your spirit in that hug of beautiful relaxation and connection and nurturing. And that is really missing, and we need it more than ever.
You know, you have such amazing recommendations and just techniques to bringing couples together. Where can people find out more information about you?
Well, you can find Relationship Magic at myrelationshipmagic.com. You can find the Soulmate Embrace at soulmateembrace.com. And I've written thousands of articles and shot hundreds of videos, and they're all searchable at my main website, which is personallifemedia.com.
I want to thank you once again, Susan Bratton, for being with us today on the Body, Mind, Spirit Show. I also just want to remind people that they can find out more information about the show at wytv7.org. And I also like to remind people that if they're enjoying this content and our other shows on the network, that if you have it, then please help and donate whatever you can to keep our programming going. Also, you can find me not only on wytv7.org's website, looking at Body, Mind, Spirit Show, but you can also find me on social media. Just look for Dr. Betsy Greenleaf. And also, you can send me any of your questions. If there's a topic you would like to hear, send those questions and topic suggestions to askbetsy@doctor.com. Once again, Susan, I would like to thank you for taking your time, and just, you're always so much fun to talk to.
My pleasure. And thank you so much for giving these ideas the light of day so that couples can come closer together.